communists, Marxists, socialists, fascists. Trying to distinguish those words would be like trying to distinguish fear from afraid, and afraid from scared, and scared from frightened. It's all the same.
Ma noi fascisti non viviamo sul passato. Noi siamo tesi.
They're all the same. That's why I'll be using them all to say the same thing.
It's both. That thing is.
What was wrong with the one? How come the leopard didn't decide that one was enough? Well, according to Marxists, it's because of capitalism that the leopard wanted more than it needed and wanted more than it had already. How come the cat didn't take into consideration that some other leopard out there might be hungry? Marxists blame capitalism for everything. I've seen them do it. Rape, robbery, murder, slavery, greed, sloth, envy, obesity, poverty, racism, sexism, the lack of empathy in the world. Capitalism did it. Socialists would take capitalism and forge a relationship with it and all that's bad upon the face of the earth.
Loneliness.
American epidemic.
Epidemic of loneliness.
Actually, hurts you more than smoking cigarettes.
Debilitating levels of
loneliness is killing me.
Loneliness. If you've watched Bo Burnham's Inside, you've heard about it before, and experts say it's as bad as eating 15 cigarettes a day. But what is loneliness really?
See what I mean? That was the beginning seconds of a video titled, How Capitalism Causes Loneliness. So when I say Marxists blame everything on capitalism, I mean that literally. And them blaming everything on capitalism should let you know just how full of shit they are. And blaming capitalism is just a mask that they wear to hide the fact that they hate people's freedoms. And they don't like us as a species. And they want us exterminated with the remaining people imprisoned. At Marxists, they have many tactics that they use to indoctrinate unsuspecting people into their ungodly flock. And by ungodly, I mean against all things natural, normal, in nature. But they have many tactics that they deploy upon unsuspecting people, and probably the main tactic that they use is to tug at people's heartstrings. The heart, I said, because the brain is useless to them. As a matter of fact, the brain is the enemy because a person thinking would interfere with what these people are up to. But the heartstrings, they'll reach for those. They'll tug on those. And they'll use things that we could all relate to, like working from paycheck to paycheck and hating it. Don't we hate that? You that's listening, if you retired right now, didn't you hate it before you were finally able to rest? If you that's listening right now, you got your own business right now, because fuck that. That paycheck to paycheck wasn't working for you, so you started your own, right? Working all of our lives to have little to nothing at the end of it. And retiring at 65, your life is done because we only got about a good 10, 15 years left on this earth. And that's one of the things that they grab at our heartstrings with. Things that we could all relate to in one way or another.
Look, just think about it for a minute. Almost everybody spends most of their life living in a totalitarian system. It's called having a job. When you have a job, you're under total control of the masters of the enterprise. They determine what you wear, when you go to the bathroom, what you do. The very idea of a wage contract is selling yourself into servitude. These are private governments. They're more totalitarian than governments are.
But they can't legally murder you or imprison you.
They can't legally murder you, but they can control everything that you do. Okay?
Well, again, the right-wing libertarian argument would be, well, you're free to leave at any time.
Yes, you're free to starve. That's exactly right. You have a choice between starving or selling yourself to a tyranny. Very libertarian. The right-wing libertarians, whatever they believe, are actually deep authoritarians. They're calling for subordination to private tyrannies, the worst kind of tyrannies.
That's Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky sounded like he really cared about us, didn't he? Yes, of course he did. That sounded like he believes freedom is the most important thing that we all should have, didn't it?
Wrong. Wrong.
He believes that we shouldn't have to work for a living. And never mind our silly idea we all know about, which is if we don't work, we don't eat. He addressed that. As a matter of fact, he said starve to death if we don't work.
Okay?
Well, again, the right-wing libertarian argument would be, well, you're free to leave at any time.
Yes, you're free to starve. That's exactly right.
That's how they view the natural, normal, in nature. Even animals have to work. Even creatures that are fixed in one place for life still have to work for their daily bread, like those barnacles that have to grab for plankton all day to eat. Marxists, communists, fascists stand in defiance of that normalcy. You heard the vitriol in Chomsky's voice about having to work to earn your keep. Something moves their spirit when hearing about working. They are spirits of disorder. Marxists want everybody on welfare. They are the ultimate statist. And a statist is one who believes that the government should control and own and operate all things. Right? They are diametrically opposed to anything being privately owned. And when I say privately owned, I'm not just talking about inanimate objects like cars and houses and storefronts. I mean your body too should belong to the government. That's what they believe in. Your body and your ability to choose and make decisions should all be instituted, owned, and operated by the government.
Meanwhile, it is something that has been in the works for the past 3 years, and now the first car-free neighborhood built from scratch in all of America is officially open in Tempe. Get this, it's the first ever agreement between a developer and a city for zero residential parking. Team 12's Trisha Hendrick shows us how the folks there embracing a car-free lifestyle and how it's helping with innovation and sustainability.
A dream in the making.
Check it out. It's a community in Tempe where you won't see any cars.
We have zero residential parking.
It's called Cul-de-sac.
We have a completely walkable neighborhood.
Aaron Boyd leads government and external affairs.
Instead of having a parking lot, we have places for people to shop, to enjoy hanging out with each other, and a whole load of ways to get around.
For founding residents, an e-bike is included in the cost.
Unlimited rides on the light rail. We also have electric vehicles for rent.
They also have scooters for rent and 15% off all Lyft rides to and from the site. Here you'll find lots of shade, beautiful artwork, and no asphalt.
We find that most of our residents actually don't have a car. And for people who want to try a car-free lifestyle, they can still keep their car. It just has to be parked off-site.
This unique approach to urban planning prioritizes pedestrian.
They want the people of the earth to live like that. They want worse for us than that, but I'll just be nice about it for now with the 15-minute city thing in Arizona. Other places in the United States have been erecting those things too. Other countries have been constructing those prisons like the one in Arizona, where people will be tracked and monitored at all times and told when you can leave, when we can leave and when we can't, and what we can leave and can't for. And you heard the lady. The lady made it sound so sweet and surrounded with sweet, wholesome goodness, didn't she? Marxists, communists, fascists, socialists, They speak in that same way. The most horrible of doomsday enslavement, they could make it sound like something that we should all want. They want people to live in those, they want people to live in areas like this one. Pods, I call them. Like in jail, where everybody goes to work in the same location. And you're not working for you. You're working for that particular pod you've been forced to live in. Just like jail. Now the elite, the oligarchs, the 1%, the few I call them. The disdain that you hear communists express towards those people.
No, you believe it.
Do not believe them. Don't believe their disdain is genuine, because the few is exactly what they want to be in control of all things. And the problem that Marxists have with the few that we have now is that they allot us too many freedoms. Because like I said, Marxists are the ultimate statists. They don't like freedom.
Our brave soldiers fight in the jungles and the deserts of the polar snows. This is the enemy against whom our brave sailors man the floating fortresses. This is the enemy we can see, but worse than he is the enemy within, the enemy of the people, Emmanuel Goldstein, traitor to the party, arch conspirator, leader of the accursed brotherhood, director of spies and saboteurs. This is he. For Goldstein we can feel only one thing. Hate for Goldstein because he would stab us in the back. Because from his hiding place he helps and directs our Eurasian enemies. And now in this film which has fallen into the hands of the party, hear the voice of the traitor himself.
The revolution has been betrayed. I was one of the leaders of that revolution, so who should know better the ideals for which we fought? Here, in enforced and undeserved exile, I weep to hear of the ruin of all our plans.
Go on, weep them!
Where today is the freedom that was promised to Oceania? There is no freedom of speech, no freedom of thought, no freedom of assembly, no freedom of the press.
Freedom is slavery! Freedom is slavery! Freedom is slavery!
They are the ultimate statists whose end game will ultimately have people exterminated, with the remaining people enslaved in these hive-like communities, serving a queen or something, or serving one ruler, or serving even a fewer than the few we have now that owns nearly everything already.
While 40 million Californians suffer through unprecedented drought, one billionaire couple owns a massive share of the state's water system, seized in a series of secretive meetings 2 decades ago. That system was largely paid for by the very taxpayers whose water these billionaires hold hostage. Urban water systems are desperate for water, but in 2023, they'll receive just 5% of what they requested from the state. The Resnicks are the biggest farmers in California. As of 2007, they owned 4 San Francisco's worth of farmland. And nearly half of Americans buy at least one of their products. Their pistachios, their pomegranate juice, their mandarins, their flowers. It's all under one massive umbrella, the Wonderful Company, a privately owned company worth at least $5 billion. The majority owners, the Resnicks, are worth at least $8 billion. How were they able to take over such a large percentage of...
There it was, you had that big fire. And one of the reasons that they couldn't put it out quick enough is because you have these billionaires owning the water. Now everybody, when you found that out, you was like me when you said, what the fuck? Why are these people owning the water like that? That's what you said. Or at least that's what I said. And these are the kinds of things that fascists use, though, to tug at our heartstrings. And that's all I wanted people to know. Guard your heartstrings when you hear these anti-work Marxists.
In cui Roma aveva Cesare, Virgilio ed Augusto.